Thank you. Very good afternoon to one and all. This is Dr. Shilpa from Narayan Nethralaya, Bangalore. Today I will be discussing a rare but very important topic, that is post-classic infections. I will be taking you through its epidemiology, microbiological spectrum, diagnosis, and the management strategies. So let us look at the incidence of these infections. They are relatively rare, especially compared to PRK. The reported incidences are between 0 and 1.5%. There are some groups that have reported that after the addition of moxifloxacin in their post-operative drug regimen, the incidence has further reduced. PRK having large epithelial defects, and use of bandage contact lenses, the incidence is known to be 5 to 6 times higher in different studies. The infection after the LASIK surgery can have an onset within 1 week or beyond 1 week when it is called early and late onset respectively. Now, gram-positive cocci are the most common organisms, that is staphylococci, and among the late onset infections, it is atypical mycobacteria. Now, these are notorious to they are known to cause outbreaks post-LASIK due to suboptimal pre-surgical preparation, multiple use of microkeratome blades, or use of contaminated water. So these are some of the reasons such kind of outbreaks are seen. Most of the keratitis manifest as interface infiltrates. The other types of presentations being those restricted to the lamellar flap or stroma, a surface ulceration, and sometimes rarely endophthalmitis. So this is a case of post-LASIK interface infectious keratitis caused by filamentous fungi. Here you can see multiple patchy irregular infiltrates in the all inside the flap interface and quite a bit of flap edema. There can be other kind of presentations like a ring infiltrate. You can see a very small haze initially which later spreads, or multiple dot-like infiltrates like this. Now, the American Academy of Ophthalmology preferred practice patterns has set out guidelines on how to manage these infections. That is, which antibiotic would you choose? The medical management is the first line of management when you're tackling these infections. Now, in agreement with this is the ASCRS white paper that was published in 2005 that suggests that the infection onset, if it is 2 weeks or less, the drugs of choice would be fourth generation fluoroquinolones along with cefazolin or vancomycin. And if it is more than 2 weeks, it would be alternating with amikacin. Now, the preparation of fortified antibiotics is something that all of us should know because these antibiotics are known to be higher in concentration. Therefore, they are typically known to be more effective than the normal antibiotics that all types, that is the fourth generation fluoroquinolones or any other antibiotic. The concentrations are as follows. Vancomycin and cefazolin should be constituted to 5%. Amikacin is 2.5%. Now, among the antifungals, the natamycin is available as a suspension of 5%, whereas Ampho B as well as voriconazole have to be reconstituted to a strength of 0.15% and 1% respectively. So how do we manage these cases? Now, once we see the signs and symptoms suspicious of infectious keratitis, the first step is to scrape the lesion. Why this is important is because the microbiology investigation is very important to tell us what the organism is before we go on to the treatment. In case of LASIK, lift the flap and scrape the stromal bed. Sometimes you would want to scrape the underside of the flap also to get the material and send it for microbiology, which I'll be discussing subsequently. Now, do not wait for the microbiological results to come. If the infection occurs within 1 week, start off on fortified vancomycin along with moxifloxacin. And if it is more than 1 week, start off with fortified amikacin along with moxifloxacin. This is because amikacin is the drug of choice for atypical mycobacteria as well as nocardia, which is more common after 1 week of LASIK. Among the microbiological workup, we have the staining techniques, that is gram stain, KOH mount, Zeal stain for these acid-fast bacilli. And among the culture techniques, blood agar, chocolate agar, sabrodextrose agar, to name a few. What we can see in the extreme right of this slide are the biochemical tests and the disc diffusion antibiotic sensitivity tests that is done to find out which antibiotics is sensitive to this organism. This is the most important test that is to be done to find out our drug of choice. If none of these tests are positive, we can also go for a PCR test. So this is how some common bugs look like. Staphylococci are gram-positive round elements in groups, whereas mycobacteria are slender, beaded, non-branching structures. So if the microbiological investigation is positive, treat as per the protocol and have a close follow-up. If it is negative, continue the primary therapy that I spoke about, but you need to change the drug regimen based on the clinical picture if it is worsening. Definitely, you should rescrape if possible. Options in case of non-responsiveness to therapy, progressive ulceration, or flap necrosis are many. We'll be discussing these surgical modalities. Now, when would you do what? So, which one to choose? If the infection is not resolving with topical medications, you can do a flap lift and irrigation with antibiotics. If there is a complete flap necrosis, you need to do a flap amputation. If there is a thinning, impending perforation, or small or frank perforation, then you need to do a cyanoacrylate glue plus a bandage contact lens. Now, sparingly used in early cases is Pac-CHZ that is shown to be effective in very few case reports. Therapeutic penetrating keratoplasty is reserved for large infiltrates with extensive melt, limbal involvement, and intraocular spread. The resolution usually takes a couple of weeks or months. About 50 to 75% resolves with a best corrected visual acuity of 20/40 or better. And infections with gram-positive bacteria seem to fare better than the rest. Now, as the saying goes, prevention is always better than cure. So what can we do pre-operatively to prevent these infections? Rule out dry eye, rule out any other kind of corneal or conjunctival infection, blepharitis, MGD. If they are present, they need to be managed appropriately before the surgery. Also rule out ocular surface diseases. During surgery, the tissue handling should be minimal. Adequate sterility through adequate preparation of the ocular adnexia with 10% povidone iodine, using disposable gloves, a 3-monthly quality checkup of the autoclave units, and using pure and contaminant-free water to clean the instruments is very important. And post-surgery, if there are any epithelial defects, bandage contact lens to be used, along with reduction in the use of topical corticosteroids in these cases until the epithelial defect heals, and a regular follow-up on day 1, day 7, day 30. At each look, we should look for presence of any epithelial defects or any signs of infection. So to summarize, infection post-LASIK is a rare but serious complication. Taking preventive steps reduces its occurrence, and a high index of clinical suspicion is required for its early recognition. Microbiological investigations are very, very important to treat with sensitive drugs. Surgical management is required in non-responding and severe cases. I thank you very much.